Sometimes selling on eBay can be so hard. It's a lot like having a bad case of the Mondays. Let's talk about it.
Welcome everyone to the Prof Sales YouTube channel. I am Prof Sales.
And I'm Just Ask Kaaren. Arr!
And we are glad you're here. She's a part-time pirate, for those you don't know. And this channel is about reselling. It's about being in business. It's about being an entrepreneur. It's about maintaining a positive mindset.
In a sometimes not so positive environment.
Turns out it's not always positive out there. Some of you already know this. Some of you are already clued in.
Sometimes it's a little rough.
But it is Monday, which is interesting always. So,
well, at least when we're recording it, it's Monday.
We're recording this and it's a Monday. Not that that really should matter to you that much, but Kaaren made the point about listing on eBay. You know what? This could be a video not just about listing on eBay. It could be a video about doing anything.
Yeah,
like
I think
really
so.
Anything.
I agree.
So we did our Monday morning topic discussion. Is that the right word? I guess.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Yeah, and we were throwing around things, and we realized that a lot of people out there, including us, think that listing on eBay is difficult. Putting up listings, doing more listings, listing one thing, listing 1,000 things, whatever. And we wanted to talk to you guys today about. I think it's the number one thing that people who sell on eBay say they don't like about it.
Agreed.
Now, there's going to be some people here in this chat who do like listing. Who likes listing? Raise your virtual hand if you like listing on eBay. Not you like the money you get when you make a sale. You like the listing process from start to finish. I am not one of those people.
No.
And neither are you.
Turns out.
But, you know, it's one of those things. It's kind of a necessary evil if you want to sell things on eBay. Turns out you have to list things on eBay to sell them.
Right. And we have as always, we've prepped and we have our outline. But when we say it's difficult, you know, we don't just mean the nuts and bolts, like it's difficult. But listing creates all sorts of challenges for people. And I'll say this like a broken record. When we encounter new sellers in particular, it seems that the listing, like actually getting it out and putting it up there into the universe, seems to be the biggest hurdle. It seems to be the biggest inner conflict. It seems to be the one thing that a lot of people just getting started have trouble getting past. It's like this one insurmountable hurdle that for whatever reason, and we're going to talk about some of those reasons, people get stuck.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And for those of you just joining us, we have a live chat going right now during this show. And we're normally on at 2 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Eastern Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard. But today we're a little bit earlier. If you ever want to join us, look for us then. Set a little reminder that lets you know when we're live. It's a little bell that you see on the front page of our channel. And of course, subscribe if you want as well. That way you always get an email notification that we've put out a video, we're coming live, what have you. You're probably going to be sick of us coming in 2018, just so you know. Just give me a little sneak preview of things. But today we're talking about listing on eBay and why is it so hard. And some people in the chat were saying, Jennifer says that she loves listing, and Lauren says I'm a dork and likes listing too. All right, fair enough. I need help now, I think says not so much. Someone asked, what's the easiest way to list? Any software tools? We'll talk about that in a moment. And yeah, why is it so hard, Kaaren? Why is it so hard for you?
In all honesty, I just don't like it. And actually, my reel is the last one on the list.
That's true.
Like the fun thing.
Right.
But for whatever reasons yet to be discovered and presented here, I don't like it. Not at the top of my list.
You know, one reason I think people don't like it?
Why is that, Prof?
It is tedious.
It is tedious.
The same thing over and over and over and over. And man, it's really cool. Like when you list that first thing, there's a sense of empowerment. There's a sense of doing something new, of accomplishment. And then when you get to the 5th thing or the 10th thing or the 500th thing or the 1000th thing, it just loses all that luster. And it's something you do, and it's not that exciting, is it?
No. And you know what the flip side of that is? I would be willing to bet that there's people that are watching later or in this chat now that what you say is conflicting for some actually is embraceable to them. Like, I bet there are people that are drawn to it because of the monotony, because of the structure of it, that it's the same thing over and over again, that there's some comfort. Maybe there's even some ease in that, in being able to replicate, do virtually the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know if I've told this story on air before, but I had this job a long time ago, back when I was in college, and it was a temp agency I worked for. And the job, and I think I've mentioned this, the job was just to pack little catalog inserts together for home shopping or QVC, one of those. Packing like, 10, 11, 12 inserts, put them together in a little catalog. Then you get another 10 or 12 inserts, put them together in a little catalog. Then you get and you had to do like a lot per hour. It was a high quota. I hated it. It was terrible.
I can't imagine you. Like, I have this vision of you sitting there doing envelope stuff.
It's so tedious, and listing feels the same way on eBay sometimes. It's just, you just sit there and you have to gird yourself up to do it, because it's going to be the same thing over and over. It's very tedious. So.
Well, and another reason why people might not like doing it is that it's not always fruitful. That you may spend all that time, and I can think of stories about you, especially with the tchotchke stuff, right? The one-offs, the New York Jets jersey from 87 that has so-and-so's, you know what I mean? Like those uber specific things that you have to research and spend all this time on researching and then making the listing, and you put all this time in it, and maybe you're going to list it and nobody's going to buy it. Then what? Like, you've defeated yourself even before you listed it, right?
Yeah, there's this sense of, at other jobs, sometimes you do things and you see the result right away, but listing on eBay is not that way.
No.
You list something, and it just sits there, sometimes for hours, days, weeks, months, even years, and does not sell. Does not sell, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, definitely not. If you're an instant gratification kind of person, yeah, the online platforms are probably not for you. Because although kudos to people that do get the items that sell within the first couple hours, those success stories are awesome. But yeah, it's kind of a waiting game.
That's not common, right?
Right.
Quick programming note. Thank you very much, Red Neckerson's Resale, for the super chat. Really appreciate. Great friend of the show, and an awesome guy. We've had some interaction with him behind the scenes.
I've just got to also say that I got to read your latest note, and you're my new crush. Can I just say that out loud? But seriously, I really appreciate that, and we'll note you back. I don't know how you sent it, but I want to talk more to you about your absolutely lovely note that you sent us. So.
And the listing process is lengthy.
It can be.
On eBay especially. Now, we'll talk about some other ways to sort of speed this up, but it takes a while, right? If you're starting a brand new listing from scratch, you've got to write a title. You may have a SKU field. You've got to figure out a category. You've got to put in condition, an item description. You've got to enter in some number of photos. You've got to figure out your price, your size, your model, your fit, your brand, your country of origin, your return policy, whether it's an auction or buy it now, your shipping policy. I mean, it's like you're creating a brand new product from scratch sometimes. Now, there are some ways to get by that, but man, it's just lengthy. Like, it seems like it can take. I've seen people in some of the groups and so on saying it takes me 15 minutes to list an item. And I think to myself, well, I'm in a niche and I've kind of, gotten processes down, but I could see how in some cases it could take that long.
Just imagine if you sold all the thingies, right?
Right.
Thingies. I feel like I'm in Pee-wee's Playhouse when I say the word of the day, thingies. But just imagine if you sold all of the thingies, like you cast the wide net.
Right.
You're having to do that. Like, you're absolutely right. With jeans, it's pretty much the same thing. We tweak a couple things here or there, or shoes even, that will take a little bit more time. But if you've got a pair of shoes, and then a pair of jeans, and then this collectible statue, and then that Christmas ornament, and then Like you're literally, I don't know how you do it, but there are many of our friends that do, but
Right,
you're literally
right.
having to reset your mindset each time. Like you're having to, okay, let's focus on this category. And you're right, it's absolutely lengthy.
It's a lengthy process.
And then what about pricing? Like I would imagine that another reason people
Who
don't
struggles with pricing?
Yeah, we debate it all the time. Like even like, just so y'all know, he'll go to put up like a pair of jeans or something, and maybe I think they should go for higher. And so we have these little mini debates, right? So even within this own house, there's some
I will usually say the price, and you'll say, really?
Yeah, that's
which
how
could mean, I can't believe you're putting it that low or that high. It could be either one.
Yeah, it's like you have to decipher that, right? But pricing is a thing. Like how people, they're like, oh, and then it's, again, I envision this self-defeating thing. And I've had some issues with some of the things, you know, that I've listed on my very own. And I'm very stubborn about, you know, the separation of the two. But, you know, how do you figure it out? How do you know? Maybe my price isn't going to be right. Maybe it's too high. Maybe it's too low.
Because you put it out there and then it doesn't sell in whatever predetermined time frame you think it should sell in, and then you start second guessing yourself.
Of course.
Like, wait, did I price it right? Or it sells really fast and you go, did I price that too low? You know, it's kind of weird how that that will get under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I think the condition of your products that you list too can be challenging to describe. That is really hard for people with clothing, especially sometimes. I mean, pre-owned is pretty general, but when people want an actual extra verbiage about it, how do you figure that out? Or like, suppose it's an electronic item or something like that, or a book, you know, something that's got, it still works, but it's got some dings, it's got some flaws.
Well, and anything subjective is just such a variable, right? I'll even go as far as to say even colors are debatable, right? Like if it's orange, it's not coral, it's not, you know, it's not, it's orange, or or it's cool, or there's all kind of like the description, you know, oh, where, like how, like where is so subjective, right? Like at the cuffs, jeans, you know, that's trendy for some, you know, the little frizzly dizzly stuff at the bottom of the jean cuff, right? That's a sign of wear. And some manufacturers will actually do it on purpose. Like from the factory, they'll create wear and spots and things like that. And so that's another thing that you have to.
Well, and someone said, you know, they're talking about photographs, which is actually our next point.
I know. Photos are so hard to master, right? I've never felt that way because I'm a photographer, but
you like the challenge of it.
Right.
But most people, see, I don't like the challenge of it. I just want to get it done because I look at it like this is a boring, tedious process that's a pain in the butt. And I just want to get the photos done and move on to the next item.
Well, right. And see, the challenge for me, you know, early on was that, and I think it was what ultimately got my son Ben out of this part of our business, is that if you come from a photography background, there's this sort of artistic angle to what you're, you know, always trying to put out there. And there's just always not something artistic about a pair of jeans or listing a pair of jeans. So that kind of lost its luster early on, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you like taking photographs, you will hate eBay. I mean, I'm just going to say it that way, like for the most part, because they're not interesting photographs. I mean, they're product photos and they're informative, but I don't know how interesting they are. I mean, you can't, I guess you could make them artistic, but it would be a lot of time for no bang for your buck.
Well, and here's the thing, like some people will put like a little Smurf in the corner of their picture or something to sort of give their eBay listing a brand or whatever.
A Smurf.
Well, whatever, a little thingy, a little.
Welcome to the 1980s.
A little frizzly dizzly, as you know, people are joking about now being a thing. But you know, like they want to brand their eBay photos, and I would just say, you know, okay, that might be a little here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. But at the end of the day, your pictures, their job is to sell your item. So.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know?
Mark says, I don't mind the camera. I don't mind the photos. It's buying the camera to take the photos that irks me. Well, that's a whole nother set, but it comes in like how you get the photos to the listing. I mean, that's another set of technological challenges that you have to master. And, you know, then once you've done all this and, you know, at some point you got to figure out the shipping. You got to figure out how much and how am I going to get this product from said buyer or from me to said buyer in a way that's either, if it's free shipping, that's cheap for me, and then I can figure out my pricing, or if I have to charge shipping, how do I do it? We were just talking to your mom about that.
Yeah. It's a conspiracy. Oh yeah, no, don't talk about that.
No, it was a good thing, but it's like shipping is tough. You know, I mean, shipping is tough to get right, and it's part of this listing process. And if you're selling a lot of different types of items, shipping is really challenging because they're different sizes. You're going to need a lot of different boxes and bags and packing material and things like that on hand. And that's why I recommend to people going into a niche at first, because you can standardize your shipping. You can get poly bags and ship shirts in them, or pants, or jeans can go in a flat rate. I mean, it just makes it so much simpler. But if you're selling everything from coffee mugs to generators, shipping is a challenge.
And we'll talk about solutions to the challenges after this last item. And this is a biggie. Like when we started this list about why is it so hard to list, I think that a lot of us, myself included,
it's a big one.
Yeah, this is so. And then there was silence for the big reveal. Dun, dun, dun. The thrill is actually in the hunt. We get the most reward. A lot of us, and I'm including me in the us here.
Just you, not me.
No, because you don't like this part. But it's the thrill of the hunt. It's the actual acquisition of the item, the making of the great deal that, you know, makes those little things fire off in our brain. And that's the reward. That's the bonus for us. That's the pleasure in this whole thing, or at least the big one. I mean, I know the money is, but we'll get to that part later.
That's mine.
Right. But it's and that's why I think that a lot of new sellers get stuck on, you know, borderline hoarding, right? Where in the acquisition, we become in solely the acquisition business with no sight. Like we lose track of the light at the end of that tunnel, right?
Right.
We get so focused on the feel good, you know, buying part, that pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And to use a sports analogy, which I love to do, for me, the thrill of the hunt is like practice. You know, that's the part of the game where you're preparing for the game. You're beforehand, you're getting your item, you're figuring out that it's going to be a good thing to sell. And when you sell it, that's like a result. Like that's scoring a basket, that's scoring a touchdown, you know, hitting a home run in some cases. That to me, the sale of it is the actual final awesome result, but everything else is just leading up to that.
So like the purchasing part is your Curry practice, right? You know how he does the practice.
Oh, Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Oh, okay, I didn't know like, I thought you were talking about Indian food.
No, you don't eat Indian food.
I know what you said, Curry.
All right, so yeah, so Steph Curry has this regimen, and it obviously it works, but he'll practice, like he'll practice he even practices this special dribble, like, and he'll do what, 500.
He'll juggle a tennis ball while he's dribbling with the other hand, trying to get his mind doing two different things.
And then what's the free throw thing? Free throw thing, like it's like 500 is what he does, like every day or whatever. Like it's amazing. So yeah, there's my 3 cents about sports.
So what sort of solutions have you guys had for this difficult listing process? I mean, and some of you are going to say, it's not difficult to me, Prof. It's not difficult to me, Kaaren, because I blah, blah, blah. Okay, and that's fine. We respect that. But for those of you who do find it difficult on some level to get through, to do, maybe it's technically difficult, maybe it's getting the motivation to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the follow through, it's the repetition. What kind of things have you guys done to get through those hurdles?
Right. Remember, we started this out by saying we're not just talking about it's difficult to tab through each line item on your listing. We're talking about all of it. We're talking about the motivation, like you said, the just all of it. So what's been difficult for you guys, and how have you gotten through it?
Yeah, and people are talking in the chat. And by the way, we have like almost 100 people watching, so thank you guys for that. We appreciate it. if they're enjoying this, Kaaren, what do you think they should do?
Well, it's pirate. It's love your fellow pirates day.
This is
so
kind of like the Seinfeld episode a little bit.
Which one? I don't watch Seinfeld.
The pirate shirt. If you guys are Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of wearing a pirate shirt today.
You need the ruffles though, but yeah.
All right. So anyway, like it, mateys. To err is human, to R is pirate. That's what I posted on Instagram today.
Too much.
Yeah,
so let's talk about some solutions.
Solutions.
And we'll factor it in with you guys' solutions as well. And if you guys have them, I'd love to hear them. So if it's tedious for you, boring, we have some things that people can do, don't we, Kaaren?
Yes, we do. So if it's tedious, try templates. And that's just sort of creating a thingy, a template that will pretty much what's the word? Preoccupy, different preset. So presets on the different fields. So it's like you've preset your listing and it'll just pop up and it'll have those things like your shipping method, your return policy. If it's, we have shoe templates and jean templates. So there are certain things in the description that will be the same or will need to be prompted to fill in the blanks for, like for measurements or things like that. So
and it makes you more efficient and thereby cutting down the amount of time it takes to do it. So where maybe 10 listings before took you 2 hours, now you can do it in 1 hour or even 45 minutes or 30 minutes. And that's great.
Yes. You can also niche. P.S. And by the way, English major, both pronunciations are the correct and acceptable.
Pronunciations or enunciations?
I did that on purpose.
Nice.
But anyway, let's get past that because we always spend like 10 minutes on, potato. So niche it down. You can get quicker and expedite your process by, like we do, focusing on the jeans, focusing on the shoes, being, very knowledgeable in fewer things as opposed to kind of knowledgeable in a lot of things. Not a judgment, not saying it's a bad thing, but with time management in particular, if you have to stop and spend that time researching that product separately and additionally, then your listing time is getting longer, correct?
That's exactly right.
And that could have an effect on how you approach it. Because if it's taken you an hour to list something, maybe that's not going to be a fun thing for you. And finally, batch your tasks.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that. Just batching it together, we found the most success with we quality control several items at once. Then we batch together the photos and do a bunch of photos of a bunch of different items. Then we batch the listings. I have done it the other way where I've gone through and done one at a time. I find that inefficient. Like it's hard to kind of reset your brain to what you're doing for each part of that. And I think for a lot of people that's true. I think it's usually going to be easier to just be able to batch tasks together and that way you're just going to be quicker and more efficient. So
I know it's not this one, but Wash by Waves talks about when they had a personal reward system in place that seemed to work. And I think that's a great idea. Certainly,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Celebrate your winning.
Well, celebrate
small wins.
Celebrate your victories, but also sort of have it as a carrot. Like if you're one that really is not a self-starter, if self-motivation is a challenge for you, then maybe you don't play that Candy Crush game until you get X number of listings done.
Fair enough.
I think that's a great idea.
So you're not selling your stuff. Now, this comes with a caveat. You're not selling it in the time frame you think you should sell it in. And that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother show. But if you're not selling it in the time frame that you think you should sell it in, then maybe you should view it a little differently and do a few things differently. One thing you can do is you can auction off items at a lower price than they're really worth, and chances are someone will buy them at that lower price and you will get rid of the item and you will feel some sense of accomplishment. Maybe you don't make a lot of money on it, maybe you break even on it. I would recommend trying to never lose money on it if you can. I think that's always a sketchy way to a business model. But you could auction it.
Those 99 sensors, more power to you, but they make me so nervous. I don't think you should start an auction at 99 cents unless you're fully prepared to accept 99 cents.
Right. No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And then, and Kaaren came up with this one earlier, you can just chalk it up to a learning experience if it's not selling quickly enough. Hey, you learned that's not what that item or in the time frame you thought it would.
And so what else can you do if it doesn't sell? give it away now, donate it back. Because it is always possible in playing off of that learning experience thing, that I know that we joke about just about everything will sell on eBay, but at some point, maybe it becomes a matter of, do I still have space for it, or is it holding me back from something else? Like, could I put something else in its space? Could I use that money? Could I use the write-off for the donation or whatever? Just, you don't have to hold on to it. Maybe it's been sitting. You know, Luke just did a full clear out of his things and donated a bunch of stuff that, and I think I love that whole evolution, because he talked about how he pulled all these things that were acquired when he was a younger, newer, greener reseller, and they weren't necessarily things that he would buy now at this phase. So definitely, just because you have it today doesn't mean you're always going to hold on to it forever. So consider that it's not a failure. It's just part of your learning. It's part of your evolution. So you may have to donate it back, and that's okay.
Yeah. And the next solution we have is for the lengthy listing process.
You're gonna stop time? You're gonna stop time? So it's,
what do you mean? So it's not as long?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I think we've talked about some of these already. Templates and batching will make you more efficient, especially if you're selling in a niche. You can use the same templates over and over, but you can create templates with a lot of flexibility.
I got one. Drafts.
Right.
So you're waiting at the doctor's office, or you're getting your nails done, or you're getting your car washed. You can work on drafts, right? Anytime, anywhere, save them.
That's a good point.
And a lot of folks use,
while you're driving in the car. No, don't do that. Stupid idea.
But you can use drafts, because a lot of people, for example, will take photos with this and create a draft with the pictures and then go to the laptop. So you can drafts. I think that's a way too.
Yeah. And sell similar you can use as well. And you got to be careful with sell similar, because it's, you're importing a lot of that person's specifics and so on, which may not be the same for yours. So you have to be careful with that one, but still can be used.
And hey, Krillin, Rob gave us a super chat and suggests that promoted list it. If it's not moving, it helps with dead inventory.
Yes. And promoted listings is something eBay's done to help push your listings around the platform. And, you know, they've had some success with it. And there's been some people have success with it. So give it a shot, especially if it's something that you're not moving in the time frame you think it should anyway.
Another great friend of our channel, and he asked earlier if it's a 1:30. No, it's always 2. My fault, doctor appointment.
There you go. All right, pricing. Go ahead.
No, that's you. Pick a model.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, I would say pick a model for pricing. I think it's people. There's so much consternation about pricing. That's a good word. So much consternation about pricing. And to me, it's like, I just look at it, pick a model and do it. I like hey, look at the most recent sold for that item that you can find. And that's at the top of the market. You can sort by completed and sold listings and find the one that sold for the most and start at like 80% of that. It's a good place to start. You may find it doesn't move in the time you want. You gotta have a little patience, guys. I mean, it takes a while sometimes to find the right buyer for certain items. I mean, you can't expect it always just to push it out onto eBay and on Tuesday and sell it by Thursday. I mean, that just doesn't happen that often. So just pick a model with it. Take a percentage off of whatever the highest price one or ones have sold, or even start at that price if you think yours is just as good, and start there. And you can always mark down as you go. You can change the price.
Yes, and 2 stories come to mind that are going to be a little tricky for pricing. Sometimes you have to guess. And I have 2 things that just popped into my head. That weird coffee mug that I found, there's only one listed on eBay, and it's in Australia with like $65 to ship or something like that. And it's this vintage thing. It's a long story. We had someone in our Facebook group this morning posted a vintage fur, and we're still waiting on pictures of that to get a better assessment, but there's nothing like it listed. And, in that case, when you don't have a reference, you're going to have to go outside of eBay's recents, or you might have to go to another platform, or just go online and research.
And remember too, guys, your time is worth money here as well. So if you're debating between listing an item for $23 or $25, just list it. I mean, it's not worth all that time to focus on $2 of profit. Now, if it's item and it's the difference between $100 and $200, that's different. But if it's not really worth your time just go ahead and list it and move on.
Well, and you can also, we talk about, you can always change the price, and you can actually go up or down. Don't think that you always have to, that high is necessarily the only place to start, because people will go through the cycle of a listing and then actually raise the price and have good luck with that.
Yep,
so
that's right. All right, so condition, the condition being challenging to describe. You came up with a good one for that, I think.
Yeah, and just the facts, ma'am. Like, just, that's the place that you should start with. And we have, respectfully, we have debates with friends of ours on this one all the time, but start from it is black, it is long, it is a size, 15, it is blue. You know what I mean? Like, just the facts. That's what people are going to be searching for. They're not necessarily going to be searching for cool this or funky that or whatever. So start with just the facts.
Yeah, and that, in your photos, and we'll talk about that in another point here in just a moment as well, but your photos will help tell the story of what it looks like. And then, what you say in the title and item specifics, that tells the person what it is like. Those are factual things. It's this model, it's this brand, it's this fit. And then here's the photos that help you show the condition. So.
Right. And aside to that, do not rely on your photos alone to tell the story, especially if there's something unique, worn, or deficient in your item. Use your words, because you're not going to have legs to stand on if somebody says, oh, this had a rip or a tear in the knee. And whether that was factory or not, the fact that you didn't say it, you didn't provide that information, it could come back to haunt you. So good pictures, better words.
Absolutely. Shipping, or excuse me, photos. I skipped one. Photos are tough. Well, they are tough to master, aren't they?
Yep, but I have a solution. Practice. How do you get good at anything? You just do it over and over again. You practice.
Yeah, you got to practice at it. You've got to get good lights. Maybe it's just good light bulbs in some cases.
Or good lighting. I mean, natural take it on their deck or with the blinds open or whatever, but lighting is key.
Yeah. Bad lighting will hide flaws and defects that people would otherwise see, or even just features, and you don't want to sell something to somebody that they didn't have all the information they needed to make a decision to buy it or not.
You know what we should do? One of the pet peeves of mine is going through and finding listings like where people spell things wrong or take bad pictures. We should do like a Prof Sales Mystery Science Theater thing, right? And we'll go through and we'll be like, okay, I digress. So what else can we do about photos? Is that good? Yeah. So you're consistent with how you stage them as well. Did we say that?
Yeah, like where you put them, where you take like even little things like how high you take the photo from, the angle. Like if you're taking 6 photos of an item and you take all of them from 3 feet away and just slightly, that's great because it'll help the color stay the same. It'll look the same size to the buyer. And those are all things that'll help your photo practice that you can do that are easy. You don't have to be a professional photographer to learn those things.
Right. And again, perhaps we're creating another tedious step for you. But this type of repetition ensures consistency. And once you get to a quality photograph, it's going to ensure quality photographs consistently.
Right. Right. Shipping being a challenge. Oh, shipping. You're an evil mistress. That was weird. So shipping, I've said this a million times before, get a scale. Quit guessing. I mean, that is just so silly. Get a scale. It's like $25 and you can get a great scale. We have a link to one in the description here. If you go on the Amazon associate links, there's a shameless plug. But there's all kinds of great scales out there and they'll go up to, 100 pound, 110 pound scale is going to cover 99.9% of the things you're ever going to sell. But you need a scale so you know what things weigh. And then, I would argue probably, get a measuring tape too, if you need to put in dimensions. It's not hard. Don't guess at it, guys. You're not a robot and you can just pick something up and know exactly what it weighs. So it's important. And a lot of things get shipped by weight.
Well, and arguably shipping should not be a surprise to anybody. So often we get notes about how I went through the whole process and then, oh my gosh, Amazon changed the shipping rate or eBay charged more for shipping. No, they really didn't. If you pay attention to how you list the item and what shipping options you choose, you control that. And you also, arguably, shipping should be one of the very first things that you do.
Yeah, I mean, photos, photos are tough to master, and pricing is a skill and an art. But shipping is not those things. Shipping is something that should never, ever be a surprise. Ever. I mean, if you do it right on the front end, you can always figure out exactly what your shipping is going to cost and find the best options. We like having niches where we can use the same type of shipping option over and over. Like the other day, I ordered 100 more padded flat rate envelopes because when I sell 100 jeans, they're going to fit in those. I don't need to think about, oh, but I've got some jeans that'll go. 99.9% of the jeans I sell are going to fit in those padded flat rate envelopes. And that is so easy. I know exactly what they cost. They're going to cost me $6.30 to ship. So I can figure that into all my pricing and so on. And so if you can do flat rate options for whatever you're selling, or even a majority of your options, it will simplify your life so much.
Right. And even just the same size box or the same size envelope, because we have different models that we use. Like the poly mailers, we get the same size for certain things. Like if it's too big for the PFRE, the priority flat rate envelope. But yes, having a replicatable shipping option is very important, and it will help with your shipping stresses, guaranteed.
Yeah, and you can create myriad. There's your word.
I wanted to wait for you to say
you
that
can
word.
Create myriad templates for shipping as well, if you need to, that you can have, calculated or free or this option or that option. At one point, I probably had about 50 different templates. And I've over time scaled all those down. I really did, because they came in for different reasons. Because I tried this, I did this, did that, whatever. And now most of them are going away. But all right, the last one.
So I'm going to say what it is, and then you have to, because those are your words, and that was really brilliant. So the last one is the thrill of the hunt. If that's why, if you're finding all the joy in the thrill of the hunt, what mindset, what should you focus on instead, Prof?
It's not shopping, it's sourcing.
Yeah, he had me on that one.
If you're walking into that store thinking you're finding great deals instead of profitable products, you need to change your mindset. And if you can't change your mindset on that, this is going to be a very difficult business for you to ever do very well in. Because honestly, it only is a great deal if someone on the back end, after you've listed it, pays you for it. That's when it becomes a great deal. You bought it and it had great potential, but it's not, that potential is not realized until somebody buys it. And they can't buy it if they don't know about it. And they don't know about it if you don't list it. And you're not going to list it if you just like buying it. So I look at it as like, I can picture, this cup going to somebody who loves NASA and the Kennedy Space Center. 1969, I think that was one of the moon missions, the Apollo 11 moon mission. That would be something that I would look at and say, somebody is going to pay me, I don't know, $15 for that mug. So I'll pay this store 49 cents for it. I don't look at it as like, oh, that's a cool looking mug that'll sit in my kitchen all the time. Now this one happens to sit there because I bought it for that reason. But if I was selling it, I would want to make sure I was buying it to sell it, not buying it because it's a good deal, quote unquote.
Well, and a reminder is exactly, if you're buying more than you're listing, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, is it just for that, warm, fuzzy feeling, or do you want to make money? Like at the end of the day, if you're struggling to pay your rent or make your phone bill or buy Christmas presents, just say no, at least for a period of time. And we talk about this sort of handhold method here, but this is some tough love sometimes. And there comes a point with all of us where we just have to say no, where we have to stop, we have to reassess, and we have to take back control of what it is exactly that we're doing here.
Here's a good rule of thumb, guys. When you go out sourcing and you're looking to buy something, ask yourself this question, and maybe you can ask this self about the majority of your items. If you would buy that item or those items, and if you were not selling on eBay, if you would still buy those items, you do not need to be buying them to sell on eBay. because you are not sourcing, you're shopping, and that's different. Your thrill of the hunt finding, you know, for lack of a better term. And that's not the right way to view it. This is about sourcing and inventory and selling things. It's not about developing emotional attachments or getting this endorphin rush just because you find something great. I mean, that's awesome, but it's only great once it sells. If you find yourself, you know, just piling stuff up in the corner of great deals, you're shopping, you're not sourcing. So you've got to wrap your head around that. And there's nothing wrong. This is not a judgment on you. But if you would buy the item, if you were not a reseller, then that is not something you need to be sourcing. I'll just say it like that.
And all joking aside, some retail therapy maybe comes in handy, but it does become a problem for some people. Like if you can't, you know, we're here to make the process, to streamline the process. We're here, we're doing this to make money. And for some people, it's easy to lose sight of that. So you might have to sort of reassess and, you know, if you're not listing, why? And we've outlined a lot of reasons why you might not be, and some suggestions on how you can be better, do better.
Yeah, don't become emotionally attached to your items. I mean, if our inventory burn up in a fire, yes.
Sorry, was that out loud?
But I mean, honestly, we would not. It would not be the end of the world. I mean, it would be a setback for sure, but it'd be a setback for the business, not because, oh my gosh, all those great deals I found are now gone. No, that inventory is gone that I could sell. You know, that's the way I always look at it. And that's the way I think you should look at it. It's a business asset. It's not some sort of personal coup that you found something. You know, if I found Fear of God jeans tomorrow, I would be excited. I would be on Facebook. I would be on Instagram putting up photos. I would also list them. They would not sit in a closet, and I would certainly not wear them because it ain't my thing. But I would want to sell them. And when somebody handed me, you know, $500 for them, I'd be like, yes, you know, that's when I would feel like I realized the potential of that sale, not beforehand.
All right, so let's take some questions, shall we?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions and comments that we missed.
And I think there's one that happened earlier, and I don't know who posted it, but someone said that they were confused about how do you offer both types of shipping, right? You know how, and it's a way for us to save on shipping. And can you explain that?
Combined shipping?
Yes.
Yeah, when one buyer buys an item and you haven't shipped either one yet, eBay is going to give you that option if you go into the bulk shipping screen. So say you've sold 5 items when you wake up in the morning and 2 of them are the same person. It's going to give you the option to combine the shipping on those. You don't have to. You can actually break them back apart. Sometimes not combining is cheaper. I found that out on a few cases because, like, say I sold a pair of 38, 34 jeans to Wrangler jeans to somebody in California, and I sold 2 pair of them. Those are not both fitting in a flat rate envelope. I promise you, they're not. As much as you try, they will not fit. So I could ship them separately for $630 and $630. That would be my cost to ship them. If I put them in a just a vinyl bag and ship them to California from North Carolina, where we're at, and they're probably going to weigh 3.5 pounds, somewhere in that range, probably going to be like 14 or 15 bucks to ship them in a bag from here. So it'd actually be cheaper for me to ship them separately. But that's how you do combined shipping. I could, and then I could just choose an option that made the most sense for me. Sometimes you could put them in a flat rate box, whatever it is you're shipping, and that potentially could be, it just really depends on the size and the weight of the object, honestly.
Well, and just because when you're going to print and your manifest and buy your shipping labels, just because it auto populates that you're going to send this pair of jeans priority flat rate to this person, you can play around with that before you purchase and before you print the label, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
We do that often. And I would take it a step further. Sometimes we'll even play with, if we're charging shipping for this pair of jeans, for example, that weighs less than, what do we need it to weigh less than?
A pound.
A pound.
A pound or
and,
less, yeah.
And sometimes that happens.
Sure.
It actually will cost us less to ship it
first class.
First class.
Sure. It's always going to be cheaper first class.
Right.
But, and when in doubt, you know, just take those items out of your bulk shipment for that day and deal with them separately. That's all you got to do. And then you can figure it out. You know, the buyer isn't going to care, and they're never going to see that. But always do it the cheapest way you can for you that still fulfills your obligation on when you're going to get it to them. That's the way I look at it. First class and priority is interesting because first class is technically a little bit slower, but I found that it makes virtually no difference in 99% of the cases. So I never have any problem with it. If somebody gave me some grief over it, I guess I would try to make them happy somehow. I don't know, percentage off or something. But I like to use first class whenever I can. It's obviously cheaper.
So we have a question from not telling or not selling in this. See what I did there?
Yeah. Is it just me, or has the women's jeans market taking a beating this year? It seems the sell-through rate has gone way down, and so is the average selling price. I suppose it depends on what you're selling, not telling. I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
You're a poet.
Didn't know it. I got rhymes in time. But anyway, yeah, I don't think that necessarily that's completely true. I think it's so cyclical with clothing in general. And you can look at a short-term result like this year and make a lot of assumptions about how it's going and be totally off. So I wouldn't get too caught up in any one season or any one year of results to say that it's a trend. Now, if you looked at like the November and December and October, let's say that's those 3 months, the fourth quarter, pretty much for the past 10 years, and you could see trends, and you'd have to measure it like how many listings have been out there, how many are selling through, what's the average selling price been over that time, how's it fluctuated? Maybe. But, you know, if to only look at 1 year, I just don't think you can really tell that much about it from 1 year. It just doesn't necessarily mean that much. So sorry if that wasn't the best answer. Dr. Dre in the house. Yeah, that's right. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Oh, it is Jay-Z. That wasn't Dr. Dang it. Wrong rapper. Man, terrible.
You need to really work on that.
I got to work on my skills.
Pop culture.
If someone pays for both, but then asks for combined shipping refund, is that easy to do through just paying them on PayPal? A combined shipping, wait, they pay for both.
And then they circle back and say, yo, you overcharged me. Are they there? I think they're saying, do I refund them back via PayPal?
I'm not sure I totally understand that question.
That's how I understand it. Maybe reword. Who is that?
Haley? Yeah, Haley. I'm not sure I totally understand the question. If someone pays for both, I guess 2 separate shippings, then asks for combined shipping refund, is that easy to do? I mean, if they paid for both, then it would be 2 separate transactions. So they would send both back, and you would technically send them back, you know, the shipping and payment for both items once you got it back. There wouldn't be a combined shipping refund. Not sure I understand that. It's the same amount either way, but
well, maybe Haley's saying that they ask for it after it's already been shipped, thinking that they're going to save money, but you're still out the money. So if you refund them, then you're eating it, right? That's how I maybe
could be. I'm not sure. Can you get templates if you don't have a store? Yeah, I think so. As far as I know, somebody else know that. I've had a store for so long, I honestly don't know. But I'm pretty sure you can. If not, you could certainly do sell similars if you were in certain niches.
Yeah, I always do sell similar. I don't have templates in my little baby store.
Do you not?
So I do not.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe you don't then.
And I think, I don't know, it's come up before, but I forget. I just pop in a sell similar with how
I honestly don't know. So. I wish the list of things I don't know is much greater than the list of things I do know.
Well, there's that.
There's that. Sadie says you can do a partial refund through PayPal if you agreed up front. Otherwise, I would not refund just to be nice, friend, if I were talking flat rate shipping. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things that's not going to come up that often that somebody's going to buy 2 things from you at the same time. I've got this little replenishable item that I sell that sometimes people buy 2 from me. And the funny thing is it weighs so little that when I sell more than 1, the shipping doesn't change. I've sold 4 to the same person before. And it was the same amount of shipping. And it was first class. So it was great. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
hey, free shipping, but every one you sell me cuts my shipping costs down on each item even more and more. But when you get heavier items, it gets a little tricky to do that.
So I think we should probably bid adieu.
I didn't know you were giving me this look. So you want to talk about that?
Yep, you do the first one, I'll do the second one. That's how we'll close.
All right. So again, guys, if you're having trouble figuring out listing on eBay and why it's so hard for you, and we mentioned, I think, 8 different reasons why it might be, and there's probably more we can come up with. Just remember, you know, getting better at listing and making it not so difficult. It's just like eating an elephant. You got to do it one bite at a time, and you're not going to get it all down today or next week necessarily. So it's going to take a little time to master it.
And when it comes to being a self-motivator, which can be very hard sometimes, just say to yourself that whatever you're going to do right now is just your next first step. It's a great place to start, and why not? Don't look at it as this big long list of things to do. It's just your next first step, and once you get past that, then it's smooth sailing after that. It's a place to start.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I love that. The next first step. You know, the next first step leads to the next one, and the next one after that. So sometimes that's all you got to do. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Quick reminder, the description down below has a lot of helpful links, including the last few days of the pre-order for the Amazon Excel eBay spreadsheet tracker, which is on sale. And there's going to be I got a cool announcement about that coming soon. So check that out for a cool discount code, 25% off, in the description.
All right. And once we're gone, you just go list something. Would you please? It's not that hard after all.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So.
So this is Just Ask Kaaren.
And Prof Sales.
Saying good sales to you.